And I got some really cool pictures, and I saved them because you don't know what they are.
Dennis.
Good evening. I call this convention to order. My name is Kathy Lakem, and I am the temporary chairman for your Midland County Republican Party Winter Convention, and I am also the chair of the Midland County Republican Party. So thank you all for being here tonight. The first thing that we need to do is elect a permanent convention chairman before we go into any other part of this convention. So with that, that is per Michigan election law 168 section 622, we elect a permanent chairman. If you want the details, that is the actual statute. So with that, I want to introduce and appoint our temporary secretary, Ashton Maloney. And the reason for that is because I'd like to delegate to Ashton the reading of the names of the delegates. So let me explain how this works. Ashton will read out loud as soon as she receives the report from the Credentials Committee. I think we're waiting on that, right? Yeah, I think you need to use the one that Jackie brings. Ashton will read out loud the names of each voting delegate and record the nomination, the name that you say. I ask that each of the delegates, you, to stand when your name is read and loudly state the name of the person that you nominate for permanent chair. We're not going to use the microphone for this part of the convention as it'll take up too much time. So that is how this will work. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ashton, and your mic is working now, right? Oh, yeah. I think so.
Sorry about that.
And Ashton, if you could go ahead and start the vote there.
Okay. And I apologize again in advance if I mispronounce your name. All right, so I'll start with Melissa Anderson. All right, Jennifer Anway.
I nominate Kathy
Stanley Anway. Megan Veronic.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Barbara Bass. John Blackson.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Marsha Blackson.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Renita Bonadies.
Present.
Mark Bone.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Robert Bourne.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Heather Bovey. Wendy Brand.
Present.
Diane Bristol. J.D. Brooks. Kenneth Brown.
Nominate Kathy Lakem.
Matthew Buchek.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Melissa Buchek.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Julie Carey.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Tara Carpenter. Brenda Cesaretti.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Marla Coon.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Richard Corbett. Yvonne Corbett.
Richard too.
I nominate Kathy Lakem.
Thank you, sorry about that. Yvonne Corbett. Gregory Crawford.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Brian Crosby.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Ann Elizabeth Davis. Tim Davis. Laura Dawson. William Demina.
Kathy Lycum.
Eric Dorian. Dawn Dubay. Bob Dvorak.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Valerie Dvorak.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Christina Egan. Evan Frizelka, sorry. Todd Gambrell.
Kathy Lycum.
Jim Geisler.
Kathy Lycum.
Steve Glazer.
Kathy Lycum.
Annette Glenn.
Kathy Lycum.
Stephanie Gamola.
Kathy Lycum.
Elizabeth Gooch. Laura Gray.
Kathy Lycum.
Roy Green. Myron Green.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Grant Halazan.
Present.
Patricia Hartnagel. Kim Holzhauer. Linda Horrible. Carter Hauptman. Jim Hughes. Abigail Yider. Carl Yider. Matthew Ivan. Rodney Cloa. Brian Cluck. Carolyn Langlis. Sorry about that, Carolyn. Bill Lauterbach.
Sorry, I didn't have one.
Carolyn went present. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yep. Bill Lauterbach.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
John Lauterbach.
Kathy Lycum.
Kathy Lycum.
Kathy Lycum.
Cynthia Lemon. Jim Levere.
Kathy Lycum.
Susan Levere.
Kathy Lycum.
Michael Love. Kathy Lunsford.
Kathy Lycum.
Joe Lunsford.
Kathy Lycum.
John Lynn.
Kathy Lycum.
Roxanne Lynn.
Kathy Lycum.
Aaron Majorana.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Jennifer Majorana.
Kathy Lycum.
Luke Malice.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Ashton Maloney. Kathy Lycum. Ann Maneri.
Kathy Lycum.
John Marvin. Jackie Medema.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Chris Malachi. Laura Molinar. Robert Molinar.
Kathy Lycum.
Deborah Moore. Chris Mulchup.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
John Mullet.
Lycum.
Loretta Mullet. Tammy Myers Green.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Scott Nosen.
Kathy Lycum.
Laura Norcup.
Kathy Lycum.
Pamela Sue Nordbeck. Tom O'Brien.
Present.
Carol Park. Nicholas Pelton.
Kathy Lycum.
Diane Pop. John Pruitt.
Kathy Lycum.
Fred Query.
Kathy Lycum.
Tina Query.
Kathy Lycum.
Dennis Quell. Gary Quellman. Ashley Rapanis.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Judy Rapanis.
Kathy Lycum.
Matt Rapanis.
Kathy Lycum.
Brent Rhodes.
Kathy Lycum.
Rebecca Robertson.
Present.
Rosemary Roberts.
Present.
Jeremy Rogers.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Olivia Rogers.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Carol Lee Rolfe.
Kathy Lycum.
Fred Rolfe.
Kathy Lycum.
Jennifer Sanchez.
Kathy Lycum.
Marinelle Schaefer. Bill Schutte.
Kathy Lycum.
Bill G. Schutte. Charlie Szymanski.
I nominate Kathy Lycum.
Jeanette Snyder.
Kathy Lycum.
Steve Snyder. Bridget Silva.
Kathy Lycum.
Joe Silva.
Kathy Lycum.
Angela Stanis Wojcik. White, I said that wrong. Sorry. Charles Tab.
Kathy Lycum.
Marianne Tab. Donald Terwilliger.
Kathy Lycum.
Gay Terwilliger. Jacob Terwilliger. Diana Treadway, Michelle Tchaikovsky,
And nominate Kathy Lycum.
Ann Van Hall, Christian Velasquez, Holly Wetzel,
Kathy Lycum.
Carolyn Whitmore,
There's no recording.
Jeremy
From Kathy
Whitmore,
Lycum.
and Jan Woodruff. Wait a second.
Ashton,
Uh-huh.
we had one delegate walk in late, Linda Horrible, could you take her vote, please?
Linda Horvath.
I want to nominate Kathy Lycum.
Okay, one second. All right, there's 76 votes for Kathy Lycum and 12 voting present.
Okay, I am humbled to be your permanent chair, and I want to thank you all for your support, and hope to earn the trust of those who didn't vote so for me. But thank you very much. And at this point, I'm your permanent chair, and we will continue with the convention. I'm going to ask Chuck Tabb to come forward and lead us in an invocation. Chuck, the mic is on that chair there. Hey, Aaron, could you, oh, there's Mike.
Let's pray.
Precious Heavenly Father, thank you for your great blessing on our nation, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. We come before you tonight seeking your wisdom and guidance in electing delegates and alternates to the February State Convention in Lansing. The challenge and responsibility before those elected are dramatically more complicated. The political manipulations of the enemy are striving to destroy our way of life. We are deeply troubled by the increasing darkness in our culture. God, you know all things. Please show us the way forward together. Grant us your wisdom in finding unity to do your will. We give you thanks and praise in Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chuck. And at this time, I'd like to call forth our Dream Commissioner, Joe Sova, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And the flag is right here.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, let's keep going. So first I want to welcome everyone. I want to thank you all for making it out tonight, and I want to remind you that this convention, we're back to splitting into 2 caucuses for this convention for the voting of the delegates to go to Lansing. And that's because of what happened during redistricting when Midland got sliced into 2 congressional districts. So the voting at state convention is by congressional district groupings, and so therefore tonight we will split into 2 caucuses for a piece of this convention. Everyone should have received on their way in a copy of the proposed agenda and also a listing of the delegates to make it easier for you to follow along as you know which delegates are seated or not. And the purpose of this convention is to elect delegates and alternates to represent Midland County at the state nominating convention on February 17th to 18th in Lansing. The purpose of the state convention is to elect Michigan Republican Party leadership at the district and the state committee level. That happens Friday night of the convention weekend. And then state party leadership is elected at the Saturday portion of the convention. So I'm really excited about the future for Midland County Republicans. We're working on some exciting plans for this year, and you all know how much I love to drink coffee, so this is the long-awaited for off-election year that we have a chance to take a deep breath and get to know each other better. And this is when we have so many new precinct delegates, and it's a good opportunities. We'll have much more opportunity to have those kind of coffee meetings and chat and hear input and react to feedback and to implement some changes as a result of that. So now is the time, please reach out. I think those of you who know me know that I will make the time to talk to you. That's how we grow the party. And I don't think I need to remind anyone here, this is your 3rd convention since this cycle started, that we have quite a few meeting formalities that will follow now. And in case it's a long meeting, I wanted to keep my comments brief at this point so that I can be very respectful of your very valuable time, because I know it takes a lot to be able to give up this time in an evening. Okay, and with that, I will continue the convention by appointing Parliamentarian John Lauterbach, Sergeant-at-Arms Sheriff Myron Green, and Tellers Bill Azelton, Caleb Hortop, Mike Maloney, and Jackie Medema. Will the temporary secretary, Ashton Maloney, please read the call to county convention? Yes, I see a hand up. Kim Holzhauer.
Madam Chair, the call to convention is a 2-page letter.
Can everyone hear Kim? No. If you don't mind taking the mic, Kim.
Madam Chair. Sorry. The call to convention is a 2-page letter that was mailed to every delegate in December and then mailed again by you yesterday. I move that we waive the reading of the call to convention.
Or
We have a motion and a second to waive the reading of the call to convention. Is there discussion around that motion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor of waiving the reading of the call to convention, signify by raising the red card, please. And do we need, or do we need to count, or does everybody have their card out? All opposed? All opposed? Okay, so it's unanimously carried that we will waive the reading of the call to convention. Thank you, and thank you, Kim. I now open the floor for nominations of permanent secretary.
Nominate Ashton.
We have a nomination for Ashton Maloney, and it's been seconded. Are there any other nominations for permanent secretary?
Move that nominations be closed.
All in favor of Ashton Maloney for permanent secretary, please raise the red card. All opposed? Okay, Ashton, you are our permanent secretary, so thank you. Great job. And thank you all. I now ask our Register of Deeds, Jenny Anway, to come forth and administer the oath of office to the newly appointed officers of the convention. Do you have a copy or do you need it? Okay. So we all need to go down.
Okay, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the offices to which have been appointed according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Great job.
Thank you, Jenny. And thank you to everyone willing to serve. As your permanent chairman, I make the following appointments of standing committees. I appoint a committee on credentials to be chaired by Jackie Medema and Melissa Anderson, Kim Holzauer, Jennifer Majorana, and Doreen Starner. I appoint a committee on permanent organization, also known as rules, chaired by Aaron Majorana, with prosecutor J.D. Brooks, Todd Gambrell, and Dennis Starner.
Chairman, point of information.
Yes.
Go a little slower for me, because I'm really interested in knowing who's on each committee.
Yes, do you need me to repeat the first one?
I appreciate that.
Okay. Committee on Credentials, Jackie Medema, Melissa Anderson, Kim Holzauer, Jennifer Majorana, and Doreen Starner. And those are primarily the people that checked you in and confirmed your ID. Ready for the next? Committee on Rules or Permanent Organization, the chair, Aaron Majorana, J.D. Brooks, Todd Gambrell, and Dennis Starner. I've appointed a program committee chaired by Kathy Lunsford, our county treasurer, and Jackie Medema. And finally, the nominating committee, which is also listed in your call to convention. I appoint a nominating committee consisting of Ashton Maloney as chair, Jenny Anway, Mark Bone, Diane Bristol, Caleb Hortop, Bill G. Schutte, and Chuck Tabb. I now ask the Committee on Credentials, chaired by Jackie Medema, to come forth and submit the report for convention approval. Madam Chairman, the Committee on Credentials reports, the Committee on Credentials has examined the credentials of the delegates present at this convention, and it is recommended that the delegates that have been elected and signed in for this convention be seated at the county convention. Upon signing in, the delegates who are seated at this county convention have each received a copy of the duly elected precinct delegates and at-large delegates to this convention. I will now read the names of the delegates who are here tonight present and have been seated. And I apologize, like I did last time, if I mess up a name. Jennifer Anway, Megan Baranek, John Blackson, Marcia Blackson, Renita Bonadies, Mark Bone, Robert Bourne, Wendy Brand, Kenneth Brown, Matthew Buzek, Melissa Buchek, Julie Carey, Brenda Cesaretti, Marla Kuhn, Richard Corbett, Yvonne Corbett, Gregory Crawford, Brian Crosby, William Domina, Dawn Dubay, Bob Dvorak, Valerie Dvorak, Christina Egan, Todd Gambrell, Jim Geisler, Steve Glazer, Annette Glenn, Stephanie Gamola, Laura Gray, Myron Green, Grant Hazelon, Patricia Hartnagel, Kim Holzauer, Linda Horval, Carl Yider, Rod Cloa, Carolyn Langlois, Bill Lauterbach, John Lauterbach, Kathy Lycum, Cynthia Lemon, Jim Levere, Susan Levere, Kathy Lunsford, Joe Lunsford, John Lynn, Roxanne Lynn, Erin Majorana, Jennifer Majorana, Luke Malice, Ashton Maloney, Ann Maneri, John Marvin is not here, Jackie Medema, Laura Molinar, Robert Molinar, Chris Multhrop, John Mullett, Loretta Mullett, Tammy Green, Scott Nosen, Laura Norcutt, Tom O'Brien, Nicholas Pelton, John Pruitt, Fred Query, Tina Query, Ashley Rapanos, Judy Rapanos, Matt Rapanos, Brett Rhodes, Rebecca Roberson, Rosemary Roberts, Jeremy Rogers, Olivia Rogers, Carol Lee Rolfe, Fred Rolfe, Jennifer Sanchez, Bill Schutte, Charlie Szymanski, Jeanette Schneider, Bridget Soba, Joe Soba, Charles Tabb, Mary Ann Tabb, Don Terwilliger. Last page. Michelle Chukowski, Chris Velasquez, Holly Wetzel, and Jeremy Whitmore. Tonight there are a total of 88 voting delegates. Madam Chairman, I move for the adoption of this report.
I have information, please.
What's your phone, Marcia? Is that Marcia?
Yeah, it is, sorry. Chris, no.
Milkai.
Did she vote? Did you read her name off? I'm sorry.
She did read his name, and he is not here, is what it sounds. I don't believe
No,
it.
no,
She skipped his
but I
name.
thought I recorded him as voting, so maybe I was
No.
wrong.
He didn't vote. Right.
He did not vote. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie. So you said there are 88. What's your step there? Okay.
Point of information,
Yes, Matt, what's your point?
Madam Chair, can we have the, number of the count votes for a majority and the count votes for 2/3 majority?
So 45 is majority, is that correct? John, and then 2/3 out of 88. $59.
You got the same calculator that's what I came up with. Do you disagree? 59 for 2/3?
I'm just looking at
It's-
the number.
it's-
I'm not
okay.
weighing it.
No, that's the way I took 88, I divided by 3, I multiplied by 2, I got 58.6,
So that's
59 P.
59.
59. I agree.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion, that Jackie has moved to, let me see where I am here. And Kim supported it, okay. Is there any discussion? Are we ready to vote for the credentials report? All in favor, hold up your red card, please.
Point of order, Madam.
Yes, Bill, what's your point?
For Robert's Rule 4755, the parliamentarian is not allowed to vote, make a motion, or participate in debate.
All right, thanks, Bill.
All right.
It's okay, thanks. All opposed? Okay, the credentials report is approved. Thank you. I now ask our Rules Committee Chair, Erin Majorana, to come forth, read the rules, and they will also appear on the screen. And it's 2 pages, so I'll wait for him to get through the list there.
Madam Chair, the Committee on Permanent Organization reports that the appointments of parliamentarian, sergeant-at-arms, and tellers by the permanent chair are confirmed. The report of the Credentials Committee has been received and accepted. The reports of any other relevant committees have been received and accepted. Delegates to this county convention must be present and voting. No proxies will be permitted. Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, shall govern the proceedings at this county convention. Delegates to this county convention may be asked to provide proof of their registered status and legal residence. Guests may be removed at any time at the discretion of the chair. Vacant precinct delegate positions will not be filled. Kathy Lycum will be the chair of the 8th Congressional District Delegation and the chair of the 2nd Congressional District Delegation at the state convention. The chair of the delegation may automatically fill, on a numerical basis, any vacancies in the delegation at the state convention in accordance with Rule 12 of the Republican Party of Michigan rules for the selection of delegates and alternates to the 2023 Republican County and State Conventions, hereinafter the state party rules. Delegates and alternates to the state convention will be nominated and elected by slate or numerical position in accordance with Rule 8B of the state party rules. Pursuant to Rule 8 of the state party rules, up to 2 delegates who were not elected as precinct delegates may be elected to be convention delegates. Nominations may be accepted from the floor by numerical position. In contested races, nominated candidates may speak for up to 1 minute. If there are more than 2 candidates, the candidates receiving the most votes will participate in a runoff. Voting will be by show of hands. In multiple candidate elections, a simple majority will prevail. No audio or video recordings of this county convention is allowed without the express consent of the chair. Once adopted, these rules may only be amended by a 2/3 vote of the voting precinct delegates present. Any controversy concerning these rules will be decided by the parliamentarian whose determination shall be final and binding.
Point of
Madam
order.
Chair, I move to adopt this report.
Point of order.
Bill, what's your point, please?
The last statement is clearly a rule and it's not enumerated for voting, and it's out of order until it's given a number. Just so you know, because that is a rule. You're taking away a right from the assembly and giving it to the parliamentarian, when it's actually your rule, your right, and ours to challenge any to appeal. So it needs to be enumerated before it can be voted upon. And one that doesn't have a number at the bottom.
So you want it to be number 18?
Yes, please.
Yeah, can you amend that to, can we just make the amendment, while he's given his report? Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes,
Can we add number 18 to the slide?
right now? You'll have to wait a few minutes.
Alright. Okay, 18, any controversy concerning these rules will be presided by the parliamentarian whose determination shall be final and binding. Madam Chair, I move to adopt this report.
Okay. So we have, a rules report that's been provided and seconded. Is there any discussion about the rules?
Motion to amend.
Yes, Bill?
Madam Chair, I move to amend rules by replacing Rule 7 with the following. After the selection of delegates and alternates to the state convention, precinct delegates shall have the opportunity to fill precinct delegate vacancies in accordance with the intent, definitions, and processes specified in Michigan compiled law, MCL 168-599, subsection 5, 168.609, 168.611, subsection 2A, 168.622, 168.624D, and section 5C of the Republican Party rules governing this convention.
Second.
Okay, for Ashton's sake, who made the second? Matt, we'll take Matt, okay. And, okay, so we have an amendment proposal and a second. At this point, we do discussion on just the amendment, is that correct? All right, so let's have some discussion.
Madam Chair, as the one who made the motion, I claim the right to be first.
Please.
Okay. Madam Chair, by intent, precinct delegates are intended to represent the values and will of those they represent. Vacancies effectively deprive those constituencies of full representation. This is why the power to fill vacancies is given to the precinct delegates of this assembly, and not to a select few in leadership or to a committee. I referenced in my motion sections of the Michigan election law and our convention rules issued by the state party. I will read a few pertinent excerpts. If anyone would like the entire section read, they can make a point of information and request that the parliamentarian read the section in its entirety. MCL 168.599, subsection 5, with regard to delegates at large, vacancy and district delegation. If a person is elected both a delegate at large and a delegate of an election district, a vacancy shall exist in the district delegation and shall be filled as provided in section 609. MCL 609, with regard to vacancies in delegation. All vacancies occurring in any delegation to any convention shall be filled by a majority vote of such delegation. MCL 168.622, with regard to vacancies. The convention may fill any vacancy occurring in any delegation to a county convention by a majority vote of the delegates present. From the Republican Party rules governing this convention, section 5C, filling of precinct delegate vacancies. For purposes of filling a vacancy in precincts where a vacancy results from a precinct delegate duly elected having died, resigned, or changed voter registration out of the precinct from which the precinct delegate was elected. Another section is added. It says, please note that Michigan election law 624D supersedes party rules and adds for any other reason. A county convention may fill such vacancy for the balance unexpired term by a majority vote of the precinct delegates present. In summary, there should be no doubt that the intent of the law and our party is for the precinct delegates of this assembly to vote to fill any and all vacancies, or all vacancies with candidates that are qualified electors meeting the residency requirements. Madam Chair, my hope is that all precinct delegates here tonight will not cede their right and duty to vote on filling vacancies to any person, persons, or committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And is there further discussion with the opposite viewpoint? I'd like to alternate opposing views. Aaron, Major Anna, yes.
Madam Chair, the person who made the motion for this amendment is claiming law that they claim it supports this. That law is taken out of context. I am a lawyer, and that law states, particularly 168.0609, states that it is provided that the person must live in the district. They cut off half of that sentence. If you take the sentence as a whole, it means a process by which you select delegates. The process is by majority vote if you live in the district you wish to fill a vacancy for. Now, the issue with that is that would require an enormous amount of work by volunteers to verify who lives in the district that they're wishing to fill a vacancy for, when that would call into question the election integrity of our process. Instead, people who wish to be a delegate can file their affidavit with the county clerk, whose job it is to verify the residents and make sure that they are properly running for a place where they live. And you are taking away the voice of the 83,000 people who live in Midland County. It is their right to choose the precinct delegates that represent them, not the people in this room. They get to choose. Don't take away their voice. I would oppose this amendment.
Are there any comments? Marla was next, John.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was having a really hard time hearing him. Can we give him a mic and maybe?
Absolutely. In fact, Caleb, I was going to ask if you would take the mic over to whoever might need it so that we can all hear. I agree. That's fair.
I'm sorry that he may have to give his speech again. It's hard for me to hear.
We would like to limit the remarks to 1 minute if you can, Bill. I don't know if you can do that, but Marla's asking that you repeat your argument.
Right from the statement.
Marla, how much do you want him to repeat?
I've seen people lean in right from the begin with, and I had a hard time right from the begin with, but, I mean.
Okay.
You probably can't read that in a minute.
You can do your best there. Thanks.
All right. Madam Chair, by intent, is this any better?
Yes.
Madam Chair, by intent, precinct delegates are intended to represent the values and will of those they represent. Vacancies effectively deprive those constituencies of full representation. This is why the power to fill vacancies is given to the precinct delegates of this assembly and not to a select few in leadership or a committee. I referenced in my motion sections of Michigan election law and our convention rules issued by the state party. I will read a few pertinent excerpts. If anyone would like the entire section read, they can make a point of information and request that the parliamentarian read the section in its entirety. From NCL 168.599 subsection 5 with regards to delegates at large, vacancies and district delegation. If a person is elected both a delegate at large and a delegate of an election district, a vacancy shall exist in the district delegation and shall be filled as provided in section 609. Section 609, all vacancies occurring in any delegation to any convention shall be filled by a majority vote of such delegation. Section 622, regarding vacancies, the convention may fill any vacancy occurring in any delegation to a county convention by a majority vote of the delegates present. From our Republican Party rules governing this convention under section 5C, filling of precinct delegate vacancies. for the purposes of filling a vacancy in precincts where a vacancy results from a precinct delegate duly elected having died, resigned, or changed voter registration out of the precinct from which the precinct delegate was elected. And please note, there's an additional clause from Michigan Election Law 624D that supersedes party rules and adds for any other reason. A county convention may fill such vacancy for the balance of the unexpired term by a majority vote of the precinct delegates present. In summary, there should be no doubt that the intent of the law and our party is for the precinct delegates of this assembly to vote to fill any and all vacancies with candidates that are qualified electors meeting the sole requirement, residency requirement. Madam Chair, my hope is that all precinct delegates here tonight will not cede their right and duty to vote on filling vacancies to any person, persons, or committee. And just for the record, I'm a chemical engineer, not a lawyer. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. So we had Bill's comment, we had Aaron's opposing view on the legal side, and I believe John Mullet had his hand raised to make a comment. If you can get him the mic, thank you.
Madam Chair, in discussion over this, our lawyer friend here did make a comment on one of the lines that he said that the line was cut off and that he interprets it to read, I'm sorry I cannot quote you, but it is not our job to interpret. Our job is to read the law and go by the law. Not only that, but we have a total of 163 delegates to fill. Right now, we only have 112 filled. That puts our party at a distinct disadvantage. It is our advantage to go ahead and fill the 51 vacancies. Now, we do not have 51 vacancies, but we do have people here that are eligible, that did run, that were put out for some interpretations that got bypassed, where they should have been a delegate and signed in as a delegate. So I strongly, madam, to look at this and look at these facts and go ahead and make that amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Are there any views on the opposite side? Yes, Bill. That might just.
Thank you, Caleb. I appreciate this discussion. We have a history and precedent here in Midland County of not filling spots where people did not run for a precinct delegate. That's our history on that. And it's a history and a tradition, and it's democracy in the small d sense. And if someone wants to be a precinct delegate, I think it's best to, in the light of day, full transparency, run for office, put your name out there, and you either win or you lose. And that, to me, is the best way to participate as a precinct delegate. You know, we have a great team here under Kathy. And we had a winning team in this last election. 6-1 on county commission. Our state rep got over 60% of the vote. We raised amounts of money that helped us win. And for some of those who may want to know, are we raising money in Midland County? I want you to know I helped made sure that the Republican Attorneys General Association gave Matt DePerno over $1 million. Ask Matt. So the point is, we have a strong team, and we got to make sure that we're beating Democrats instead of beating each other up. 2024 is going to be a big race. All these county officials will be facing Democrats. We need to make sure that we win our races. We have a successful team. I think we should not adopt the amendment and go forward. Thank you.
Comments? Okay, Laura, why don't you go first?
I just have a point of information. I was wondering, just so we could be clear, if we could read, or someone could read, MCL 168-609, parliamentarian or whoever would have that
total. That will all just to be clear.
No delegate elected to any city or county convention shall give a proxy to represent him at such convention. All vacancies occurring in any delegation to any convention shall be filled by a majority vote of such delegation, provided that such delegation shall not be permitted to fill any vacancy which may occur in its number by any person not a resident of the ward, district, township, or precinct, as the case may be, from which such absent delegate was chosen.
Okay, are there any other comments?
Madam Chair?
Are there any comments on the other side?
That was just reading the rules.
Right, okay, Tom had his hand up first, Matt.
Bill Schutte, I want to thank you for your comments, and I do appreciate all the service you've done. I'll remember 1988 downtown, and I think it was 88 when you won. And I'm a first-time precinct delegate. And so this is the third county convention I've been in. And I know there's other people back here that would like to do the same thing. And I think one of the things, Bill, that you're talking about is what we all want. We're the party of God, and we're the party of freedom. And we want more voices, especially voices that haven't been through this process, that can ask the questions about why have we been doing it this way. I know there's at least 20 other counties that have had delegates elevated to a position so they would have a voice. And I know many of you allowed for me to go to the state convention last time around, and I was grateful for that. It's how we all get engaged. It's how people back here that want to get engaged can get engaged. It's going to grow the party. Don't kick us out. You're pushing us away. You know what? The last time I was involved in this, it was in '92. And it wasn't for the Republicans and it wasn't for the Democrats. Ross Perot had it right. And if you look at where we are today, if we followed him a little bit more, I don't think we would be in the world of hurt that we are.
Matt? Todd, do you have a comment?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to put this to a vote. I think we know where this is going, and based on the number of votes we have in the room, I think it's time to call for a vote.
We need to have everybody's voice heard. Yes, thank you.
Motion and a support to call a vote.
Yes, there is. Okay, we need to vote on,
You can take away my right to speak?
I'm not taking your right away, I'm following the rules, I believe. Right? There's a motion on the floor. There was a motion to call the question.
There's a motion to call the question on Bill Molina's amendment.
And his amendment is to replace rule number 7.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand what was just said. Right now, we're gonna vote on whether we have 2/3 majority to stop debate is what we're doing first. We're not voting on my amendment yet. That's next.
Okay.
So let's be clear.
Point of inquiry.
Yes, Jeremy.
If any delegate, can we give him a microphone?
If any delegate tonight votes in a way that's displeasing to the executive committee, can they also expect members of the executive committee to contact their employer, as my employer was contacted after the last convention?
And there was somebody who from the executive committee made that contact, because the executive committee did not make contact.
At least 2. But
On behalf of the Midland County Republican Party.
Yeah. Point of order.
Yes.
It was stated that there has not been a precedence in your conventions to fill in vacancies. My point of order, since when does the president override a law?
Precedent, I believe, is part of the law.
We've stated clearly what the laws were. We read them. When does the president override a state law or Robert's rules?
You want to comment, Rules Committee? No? Yes, sir.
It says may, do not shall, and we should take a vote now. We should,
And what do we vote now?
Point of order, it does say.
What do we vote on, John?
Read it again, please.
Yes.
Madam Chair, point of order.
I've asked the parliamentarian to address this.
I'm gonna address the question, because the Michigan election law, you're right, Michigan election law is elected by the legislature. In at least as far back as 1992, the US Supreme Court, and the US Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit, which is the federal circuit that covers Michigan, has said that the Republican Party of Michigan and each county Republican Party is a private, non-governmental organization. And as long as we're dealing with matters of internal governance, the state legislature, state law, can't tell us how to run our own organization. So the law recognizes that if you have bylaws and rules and customs and convention rules, they don't need to comply with the state statute. In fact, one of the plaintiffs in that 1992 case, interesting little point of history here, was a guy from Midland by the name of John Pafford. Some of you may remember John Pafford. John took that case to the US Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit because there was a convention fight, if you will, for lack of a better term, between the Robertson delegates and Bush, Robertson, Bush, and Jack Kemp. So, you know, yes, you've correctly quoted the statute. Somebody asked me to read it. I read it. But the courts have recognized that when it comes to internal governance and electing our own delegates to our own conventions, we can follow our own state party rules, our county bylaws, and our convention rules and our customs. So, hope that answers the question.
Point of order.
Yes, Renita.
I'd like to know what bylaws this county has that override the state bylaws and the law. There are not.
Bottom is the,
There are not any laws that should be overridden unless bylaws exist. We were told that this county did not have bylaws except for the executive committee. Therefore, there are no bylaws to govern this convention, which would mean the state bylaws and the state convention rules that they just put in place clearly stated that filling of precinct delegate vacancies is part of the process. So do we have, as Midland County, actual bylaws? Because we have asked for them and have not been able to get them, except for those that govern the executive committee.
The executive committee has bylaws. They do not cover this situation. The state party bylaws do cover this situation, and they make it permissive, not mandatory. So we don't have to fill vacancies. We can if this convention votes to do so.
So we have something in place that overrides what the Michigan GOP published in a document that states that the precinct delegates can be filled at these conventions, and that is a governing document of rules for this convention.
We have this convention has the authority to enact its own rules. And if we can ever get this to a vote, we might have some. Or we can stay here all night and debate it. It's been called. The question's been called, should be voted.
point of order.
To Todd's motion.
Okay.
Point of order, it should be debated until all of us have come to a consensus to vote. We all have the right to vote, we all have a voice in this.
Madam Chairman, again, I call the,
Okay, we're gonna vote on stopping the discussion, the debate, okay? All in favor, please hold up your red card and our tellers will count this time, please.
We have 53 yeses, so that's not a majority. That's not a two-thirds.
So the debate continues. Is there any other discussion? Wendy? Oh. Okay.
Hello. So, we have some fantastic people back here. They want to be delegates. They want to serve this party. They want to raise money for this party. We have an untapped resource. That's these guys. Out in the county, outside of the city. The city's been losing votes, losing Republican votes for some reason. People in the city have not been doing their jobs. You now have all these new delegates outside of the city, in the county. We want to help this party win. We want to raise money for this party as well. We are engaged, we are excited, we are invigorated. We want to beat the Democrats bad, real bad. We want to help all you guys. We want to have these next 2 years working together as a team, and we need more people on that team that feel like they're invited into the club.
Holly? That is Holly, right?
Good evening. Not only would filling these vacancies require an enormous amount of work for members of the party, time, I might add, that would be better spent fighting against the very real threat of the Democratic policies that we face right now in Lansing and across our country. Filling these vacancies would also circumvent the will of the voters. I, like all of you, ran for this position. I, like all of you, had to prove that I live in the precinct that I represent. Leaving these vacancies does not put our party at a disadvantage. Those very people sitting in the back of the room, you can start knocking doors, you can walk parades, you can start fundraising. You can have those conversations with your neighbors to encourage them to talk to their lawmakers. We have one more job left after tonight as delegates. One, we come to one more county convention. And between now and then, we better be out there. But us simply being delegates does not give us some gold star or badge of honor while we're talking to our neighbors. They don't care. They care that we're informed, they care that we're passionate, and they care that we are allowing them to have a voice. It's time that we give these vacancies back to the people, back to the voters. They should be the ones to fill them in the next election, not us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There seems to be a lot of tension in the room, and that's division. And division is what topples cities and governments and peoples. And because we want to be a unified Republican group, we have to be willing to do what's difficult. And if there's hard work and it's time consuming, but there are people who are willing to do it, I would say that, praise the Lord, people are willing to step out and do something about it and to help, because we don't want evil to reign, and we know that that's what's happening. And it feels very uncomfortable in this space. This is not a peaceful place to be. And that's unfortunate, but I think that we can change that. Traditions are not always good traditions. So if we could bring in some new traditions with some new people and new ideas that are in agreement with the Republican Party, then I say, why wouldn't we want more people to get out there and to help us and to be unified with us rather than tearing down people? I hear people in front of me or behind me, and they're talking about him. Oh, she's crazy, he's crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. That's division. There's no truth in that, and there's no goodness in that. So we need to bring unity somehow to the Republican Party. And if it takes hard work, is anybody up for a little bit of hard work?
Is there more, thank you, Brady. Is there more discussion? And please, if we can try to limit the comments to a minute, that would be helpful.
Okay. I understand you're passionate about wanting to be precinct delegates, but let's not forget how you become a precinct delegate. You fill out an application, you turn it into my office, the county clerk's office. We do all the checks to make sure that you're in the proper precinct. You'd be amazed how many people don't know where they live. But let's also remember that you had an opportunity on election day to be a precinct delegate. You literally walked into your polls on election day when you got ready to vote, and you could have said to the election worker, I'd like to be a precinct delegate. And you could have done it that day. But you chose not to do that. So I understand you have a passion, but I agree with Holly. Get out there, hit the pavement, work hard, and in 2024, you can run as a precinct delegate. You can do it election day. So I understand you have passion, but use your passion to go out and work for the Republican candidates, not sit here and argue about one little piece of the puzzle. You had your opportunity to be a precinct delegate. You could have done it election day.
Thank you, Ann. Yvonne, you have to do that.
What's that?
As a delegate, we represent our district, and these people had no choice to vote for you if you weren't on the ballot. And there's many jobs you can't jump in the middle of it. So I totally agree. I mean, I'm not comfortable saying, sure, these people can be voted on when it hasn't been in front of my people that I represent. It's not just me, it's who I represent in Porter Township. And I have to ask those people, who do you want to be your delegate? And I can't do that because you people didn't get on the ballot. So simple. All you've got to do is fill out a form. And then everybody knows about you. Everybody that's voting knows that you are available. And we appreciate that, every interest. That's all I can say.
And can you hand the mic to Loretta? I think she had her hand up there. Thank you, Yvonne.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
There's been an assumption that the people here who are wanting to be delegates and filled in vacancies haven't run. There are those here who have run. They ran against people who did win commissioners. They were on the ballot. Some of them only lost by 5 or 6 votes in their communities. I happen to know one of them because I door knocked with one who's a hard-working Republic who also ran. Please do not assume that these people just showed up and said, me too. They've been working, they ran, they lost to people who became commissioners who now do not hold that position in their township. So they're at large now. They're not showing up just because it looks like a good thing. So thank you for listening to me.
More discussion. Fred? Jeremy, I'm gonna go to the other view and then I'll come back to you.
So yeah, many people took a lot of my points that I was gonna make. One additional point, not only is it a small representation of the 83,000 people voting on this, but it's also a small pool of candidates. So if we're gonna give, a half dozen people or 50 people, or however many people it is, a second chance at being a delegate, there's another 83,000 people out there, 83,000 people out there.
Keep this process moving forward. I think there have been some excellent points on both sides of this issue. And I think that we have some common ground that I think we could find here and move the process forward. And I think most people would be happy with the common ground, which is specifically the candidates that ran against other delegates who then were elected to state representative or county commissioner and thereby created a vacancy. Those are just a small number of vacancies that we could fill and maybe try to find some common ground and move forward this evening. To your point, this is a public meeting. Anybody who wanted to be a delegate could be here, just like anybody who wanted to, or what I should say is anybody who wanted to try to seek a vacancy could have attended the meeting, just like anybody can file a paper and try to get on the ballot and run for precinct delegate.
Just one correction, it's not a public meeting. It's a private meeting because of the party is a private organization.
This isn't, I guess, just a point of parliamentary inquiry. It's not subject to the Open Meetings Act?
That is correct.
Okay. That's all.
Judy?
I think we're losing sight of the purpose of this convention. Our purpose in gathering tonight is to elect the delegates who will be attending the state convention February 17th and 18th. We have spent over an hour discussing the Credentials Committee report. We haven't even adopted it, and if we were to make changes, those delegates could not vote tonight. Only the delegates that are seated at this convention and were approved by the Credential Committee can vote tonight. So I think the chairman has the right to cut off the debate as her role as chair and to call for a vote on the amendment. And then after you have the vote on the amendment, to call the vote on the Credentials Committee for approval or rejection.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
The chair does have the right to stop this discussion. This is a discussion between the delegates, and it's up to us.
But I can ask if we're ready to call the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Which we did. We just did that.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not sure Robert's rules of orders apply yet because we haven't voted on it.
Point of order.
True.
It certainly does. It's in the state bylaws that the state bylaws say we wouldn't use that as our parliamentary authority. It's also Rule 3 of that same convention rules for this convention and the state. So it is in effect at this point.
No, I think Bill's correct, but are there other people that want to speak on this?
Yeah, is there more debate? I'm simply asking if there's more, if we're ready now for calling question, or are there more comments?
Point of inquiry?
Yes.
That's a hard word. Is there any agreement that if we want to move this forward, that we can maybe amend the bill's proposal to just fill vacancies where vacancies were created by at-large delegates, and that maybe can help us move forward.
I'd like to answer that question, and the answer is no.
Anything else, Mark, on that? Any other comments before we?
Parliamentary, was the statement Mr. Ball said correct?
Someone made a motion, has someone seconded it?
No.
No.
It's secondary, the substantive motions can go up in multiple levels.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to amend, Ms. Domina's, correct? Yes. Mr. Domina's, amendment, I guess we're amending an amendment to the proposed rules for tonight to only fill vacancies for, how do you say it? How best to say it? Vacancies created by at-large delegates.
Second.
I believe we have already signed affidavits here
Yes.
tonight.
Signed and notarized.
And Ms. Mannery has actually done, I'm sorry.
Is there discussion on the amendment before we vote on it?
There is, one thing to say about it.
John?
Is Ann Mannery had actually had a lot of those in her hands at the time of the election, so she would probably know who some of the people are. Well, the people that ran for office as delegates have come to you and signed documentation that they were in their precinct and they were running, and you actually have them on the voter list. And I can state my one person in particular that I know this group is Jim Ives, who is sitting back there.
Yes, Jennifer.
I think we're all trying to accomplish something here.
And we're operating on Robert's Rules of Order, but I personally am getting very confused as to where we're at with Robert's Rules of Order, what motion we're voting on. I think motion's been introduced and seconded that we haven't voted on. Is discussion open, is it not? So can the parliamentary clarify, please?
Jeremy made a motion and it was seconded.
And we're gonna
I
vote
think
on that.
we need Jeremy to be a little more clear on what the motion is that's being voted on. Please.
Repeat it.
Does that go on top of the first motion?
We vote on that, and then we'll go back to the rules report. Jeremy needs the mic, Caleb. Are you gonna know this?
John, I'm not 100% certain how to do this, so help me out if you can. So there are 3 names of delegates that did run in the last election. I guess they're not technically delegates, they were candidates for delegate. Those names are James Ives in Edenville Township, John Harrison Gundon, Midland City 5, Timothy Zerul, Midland City 11. And so I'm not sure the proper way to word this, but I would like to, I guess, suggest an amendment that we only fill those 3 vacancies for this evening. Is that good, John?
Is someone seconding?
Did someone second? Okay. And we already had discussion on it, so I think it's, we're ready to vote on that amendment, correct? All in, who's asking a question, please? Rod.
I believe you did. Bill, you've agreed to that? Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that he was,
Yeah.
somebody else's amendment, they have to agree to it.
Correct.
So there's a we're voting on whether, yes, Jackie?
All right, you all know me because I checked a lot of you in tonight, and you know we checked your driver's license and compared it to what we have on record. So you signed affidavits back that were due in April of 2021, and the county clerk went through and verified your addresses at that time and everything else. But now it's January of 2023. How can we verify tonight that you have not moved? How can, and this goes for everybody who's sitting here with affidavits. There is a process that needs to be done to verify that the signatures and that information.
Point of order. Yes. Aaron?
Madam Chair, point of order, I would say that how can we, to Ms. Medina's point, how can we verify that these people live in the districts that they're claiming to fill? That would be in violation of MCL 168.609. We cannot do that without verification, which can't be done tonight as far as I'm aware.
Thank you. It's still voting, right? All right. Are we ready to vote? Yes.
So, point of inquiry, it's only 3 people. Could we take the 10 or 15 minutes necessary to check the 3 people and make sure that they do live where they say they do, and look at their driver's license, and look at their affidavit that's been signed and notarized?
We have a motion that we need to vote on, and somebody, Renita.
Can I say something?
Who's speaking? Mark?
If
No.
that gets approved, we can check on that, but let's call the vote first and see if we're wasting our time, and why take 10 or 15 minutes.
Right. Yes.
Isn't it true that we all were, the credentials committee checked our credentials when we came by using our driver license? Because any of us could have moved between now and then or something. So I would think that the same process could be applied to these 3 people. I'm a notary, and I did notarize several people tonight looking at their driver license, just like we did here.
You have to verify the address of the qualified voter file, okay? I don't know if I can do that, I'm not sure I can. But you can't just say, because my driver's license says that, that's where I'm registered to vote. That's not how it works.
No. Okay, we're gonna vote. We're gonna vote on this amendment. All in favor? Okay.
Just for the record, we have a December qualified voter file for the county of Midland. And I know Ann needs to verify it, but they were all verified through that document as being residents of the precincts for which they are applying with their affidavits that they have now signed and verified with their driver's license.
Thank you. Let's vote. Come on, Jeremy. What's your question?
Don't we have to vote?
What's your procedure?
Don't we have to vote to close discussion before we can vote on the amendment? No? Okay,
All in favor of Jeremy's amendment to add the 3 names that he noted, raise your red card. Tellers, please count the cards.
That's 35.
35. Yes. Yes. All opposed? Hold up your red card, please. Dissidents? Abstentions? Okay, so the amendment to the amendment failed, correct? Yeah. And so I believe we are back to the rules report discussion. Is that correct? We do vote on your amendment still?
And I have,
Okay.
I have the right to end the discussion according to Robert's Rules 40, I think it's 428.
You want a mic?
I just have to make
They want you to have a mic, I think.
I just get to make a last rebuttal as a second time speaking because I made the motion, so if there's no others, then I get to finish with the rebuttal.
We can't hear you.
Give him a mic, please. Thank you.
Just that I was claiming, according to Robert's Rules 428, that I get to make the final discussion as my second time speaking, since I made the motion.
Okay, and I assume that's what you were doing, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Anyhow, I just wanted to just say that, we did establish, I think, the parliamentarian did say that, we have the authority, but it's a choice of this body, and this is what we're voting on, so we're in total agreement. And so I would just say that, it's something that I feel passionate that we have the right, and we're trying to get the right for it, but we're following Robert's rules, and if we don't get it passed, we're following the rules, and that's what we're gonna do. So at that, I'm just gonna close, and we can go into the vote.
Okay, so we'll call for the question. And can we just end discussion and vote on the Bill's amendment to change rule number 7? I don't have all the verbiage unless you have it written out, but I think most everyone knows the gist. Okay, so let's vote. All in favor of amending Rule 7 per Bill's amendment, please raise your red card now. And tellers, please count. Yes. And all opposed, raise your red card, please. Abstentions? Are we done with the no's? Anyone abstain? Okay, so the amendment failed, and we will continue the discussion on the rules now, except for Rule 7. I think we've exhausted that one. Bill, did you have another comment?
Madam, I move to strike Rule 8.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor to strike Rule 18, which is the last statement. It's not labeled 18, but we agreed that that would be Rule 18. And it's been seconded. Is there discussion? Bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This rule is in direct contradiction to our parliamentary authority, Robert's Rules of Order, which specifies the role of the parliamentarian as an advisor consultant to the chair. As you know, the chair alone is given the power to rule on questions of order or to answer parliamentary inquiries per Robert's Rules 4746. In addition, should we as the Assembly disagree with the decision of the chair, we have the right to appeal the decision of the chair per Robert's Rules Chapter 24. Therefore, this rule usurps not only your power, but also denies the right of the delegates to appeal and should be immediately removed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there more discussion on that? Are we ready to call the question then? Does anyone else want to speak on that? Okay. So we have a motion to amend the rules report by striking Rule 18. All in favor? I thought it was seconded. Yeah. All in favor of striking Rule 18? Is that correct, Bill? Please raise your red card now, and tellers, please count. $31 no? 31 yes? Okay. All opposed, raise your red card, please. Okay. So the amendment fails. Is there more discussion on the rules?
Call for a vote on the Rules Committee report.
I have a comment.
Marcia?
So you keep using the word rules, right? And several of us came to you before the November precinct delegate county thing and asked for a copy of the rules so that when we came into the meeting, we would know what was going on. I'm comparing the report that was presented to us in the end of November to the one that is now on the screen. And there's new, whatever you call these, because we can't call them rules, because it is not a report of the Committee on Rules, it's a permanent organization. So why are we having moving target of what the process will be every time we come to a convention?
My understanding is that generally the rules are consistent. The only difference is the convention in November was for election of executive committee. Therefore, we would not be required to have, for example, Rule 8. It wouldn't apply in November. It only applies when we're sending a delegation to state convention. So we put that in there to make sure that we've identified somebody to represent the delegation and can keep everybody together. That's one example. The other example, the only other one that I'm aware of that's new is rule number 16, where we've requested no audio or video recording of the county convention without the express consent of the chair. And that's because of my concern about the last convention getting aired on social media and the opportunity for the opposing party, Democrats and media, to get a hold of that and to use that against us. So, and I want to make sure that you all know that we do always have somebody, when we can, video it so that we have a record of it for everybody's protection in case there is a challenge to the county convention. Then we have a record of it by somebody who I've authorized to do that, and that's what Amanda's doing here. In addition, Richard and Joe have come up to me and requested permission to record tonight, and I gave them permission based on what I knew was coming later with these rules. And I said that under one condition, that they record under the condition that they do not publicize that, and they both agreed to that. And so any recording should not be publicized that would possibly get in the hands of our opponents and the media. So I'm trying to think, Rules Committee, Aaron, are there any other rules that are that different than what we did in November? Marcia, did you have one that you want to express that's different, other than the two I mentioned?
No, because I'm, we were focused on page 1 for so long, I was not able to compare the second page without trying to go to my phone, which I'm having to use my flashlight in order to see what I'm reading. So,
well,
yeah, at this point, no, I'm just, confused by the non-consistency from convention to convention. So
I would say that to respond to that, it's very consistent because they really generally don't change, and when they do change, it's to add what I would call Rule 8 there, and that's when the business of this convention is to send a delegation to a state convention. We always make sure that that's in there. Yes, Wendy? That's what
I wonder if it would be helpful if we had a copy of these when we first come in, so that we had time to review them before we were asked to vote on them.
Thanks. Okay, we were in the middle of taking a vote on the rules, correct? Yes, so now we are going to vote to accept the report of the Rules Committee without change. I'm sorry. Approve is how many? 6-0. And opposed? Please raise your red card. Tellers, please count. No. That means that the rules have been approved. Thank you. So now, moving on to the Committee on Program or agenda, I'm asking our County Treasurer, Kathy Lunsford, to come forth and present the Program Committee with the proposed agenda. And you all should have a copy of that in your packet that you received on the way in. And it's on 2 slides here, just so you know. Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome.
All right, this is the proposed Midland County Republican Party County Convention agenda, January 26, 2023, 7 p.m. Grace A. Dow Memorial Library Auditorium. Number 1, temporary chairman calls convention to order. Number 2, election of permanent convention chairman, introduction and appointment of the temporary secretary. Number 3, invocation. Number 4, pledge of allegiance. Number 5, welcome remarks. Number 6, permanent chairman appoints a parliamentarian, sergeant at arms, and teller. 7, temporary secretary reads call to convention. 8, nomination of permanent secretary. 9, election of permanent secretary. 10, oath of office administered to all permanent convention officers. 11, permanent chairman appoints the following standing committees: Committee on Credentials, Committee on Permanent Organization Rules, Committee on Program Agenda, and Committee on Nominations. 12, reports of standing committees: Committee on Credentials, Committee on Permanent Organization and Rules, Committee on Program or the Agenda. Number 13, the caucus splits: Congressional District 2 and Congressional District 8. Within those, there will be a temporary chairman appointed for each Congressional District 2 and 8, election of permanent chairman for Congressional District 2 and 8, appointments of parliamentarians, sergeant at arms, tellers, nomination and election of permanent secretary, oath of office administered to all permanent convention officers, committee on nominations, and under that, delegates, select delegates or alternates to the state convention. Number 14, the caucus reconvenes with Congressional District 2 and 8. Number 15, remarks by elected officials. Number 16, announcements. 17, permanent chairman asks for any further business. And number 18, adjourn. Madam Chairman, I ask for, make a move to approve the program.
Is there any discussion on the program?
Point of information.
Yes.
How is the agenda determined for each convention?
The state party provides a sample agenda when they train the county chairs, and then that coupled with the various authorities that we follow for a convention. Is there any other discussion before we vote in for the agenda to approve it? Okay, all in favor of approving this proposed agenda, please hold your red card up. How many was it? Okay, opposed? Please raise your red card. We're still counting, I guess.
Are there no opposed votes?
Abstentions? Okay, so the agenda is approved. Thank you, and thank you, Kathy. It is time now that we split into our respective caucuses, Congressional District 2 and Congressional District 8. The reason we must do that is because of redistricting changes that impacted our county. I want to let you know that the number of delegates is based on the number of Republican votes cast for Secretary of State in the 2022 general election per state party rules. For Midland County, the total number of delegates is 22. We will vote on 22 delegate and 22 alternate positions, and that's for the total county. In addition, there are 2 automatic or at-large delegate positions because of the following elected officials who reside in Midland. One is State Representative Bill G. Schuette, and the other is former State Party 4th District Chair Judy Rapanos. So in total, 24 delegates are allowed to vote out of Midland County at the state convention, including the 22 that we'll vote on tonight and the 2 automatic at-large and 22 alternates that we'll vote on. So now that we're 2 congressional districts, the allocation of the 22 delegates is as follows. Congressional District 8 now has 19 delegates that we will vote on tonight and 19 alternates. And Congressional District 2 continues to have 3. I appoint Jenny Anway as the temporary chair of the Congressional District 2 caucus and Judy Rapanos as temporary chair of the Congressional District 8 caucus. Congressional District 2 delegates, would you please convene in the adjacent meeting room in the foyer or the hallway where we entered. And then after you have completed your section of the agenda, please reconvene with us. It may take a little longer on Congressional District 8 because of the sheer numbers that we're dealing with. And just to let everyone know, we do have to go through some more quick formalities. So with your permission, I'll move quicker through them unless you think that there are going to be any issues with the appointments that I make. So, who's talking? Loretta, yes?
Was this slate put together this last Tuesday?
It's a proposed nomination report, and we had asked everybody to put the names in. Everyone has until the minute the convention starts to express interest. And so, and even we'll be opening up for nominations from the floor when we're done as well. So, but the committee meets at some point. I don't remember which day they met, if it was Monday or Tuesday, but they asked everyone to try to let them know by noon Monday if they were interested so that they had made sure they could accommodate all the requests.
Why weren't the delegates on the slate for this convention so that we had a chance to look over the nominations?
Well, typically, it could change for one thing, and we just, we typically wait and do that during the convention because it's not approved, and in case somebody wants to make a change. So, a lot of it is scheduling. So.
And my point is that if we did want to challenge anything, or if we wanted to get a nomination, microphone.
Forgive me. My question was, why weren't these nominations given to the delegates before this convention, so that if we did want to nominate anyone else or make any changes, that we've had a chance to review it and then be prepared here at the convention. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Congressional District 2, do you want to convene and then 8 can get started with our caucus? Okay, Judy, you sure can. You have, okay. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Judy Rapanos, your temporary chair.
Okay, as you know, I am temporary chair for this section of the convention, and per Michigan election law 168, section 622, A permanent chairperson shall be elected before any business is transacted. According to this law, I will ask that the names of the elected delegates and delegates at large be read again. However, before reading the list, I want to make you aware that I have deleted from the list the names of the delegates that have been disqualified as they have moved out of their precincts per section 62(4)(a) of that same law. They are Amanda Oster, precinct 6, Dennis Starner, precinct 18, Doreen Starner, precinct 18, and Senator Jim Stamas, Midland Township. So at this time, I would like to appoint temporary chair Ashton Maloney.
Secretary, temporary secretary.
What did I say? Oh, chair, I'm sorry. It's been a long night. Okay, Ashton, would you read I just have a question here. Do we have to go through the whole list or just the people that have?
Unless somebody wants to make a motion to waive that, but we should follow we should follow the.
Well, no, my question is, do we have to go through the whole list of delegates and alternates as we did earlier, or just the people that are here tonight? That was my
Just
question.
the Congressional District 8 people.
That are here tonight.
No, she'll read through the whole list.
Whole list? Okay, go ahead.
There's a motion to waive the reading of the names and a second. Is there any discussion on that?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this the delegates who are being elected? We are waiving their name?
No, what we're doing right now, John, is taking nominations for permanent chair of this caucus. And we have to go through that same routine that we did, and everybody stands up and says, name, the name of the person. And a couple people thought they could save some time by just making a nomination instead.
Thank you very much.
So there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, I'd like all those in favor to waive the calling of the voters. Thank you. Okay, at this time then.
You need to get a nomination.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. We've had a second. All those in favor, raise your red card. To waive the reading of the delegates.
Okay. No.
No, now you have to nominate. Yes. So, I need a vote. Okay. Kathy has been nominated as permanent chair of the caucus for the purpose of electing the delegates who will be going to Lansing in February. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, call a vote. All those in favor, raise your red card. Okay, I don't think there needs to be a count, but if you want to, go ahead, Jackie. Pardon? Okay, what's the vote? Kathy has been elected, the vote is 76 in favor. So Kathy will resume the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm having a tech issue right when the good stuff comes out.
Oh, he studied.
Has 19 delegate positions and 19 alternate positions. That per state party rules, 2 or 10% of the delegate and alternate positions can go to 2 dedicated Republicans who are not precinct delegates. We had a robust level of interest from both new precinct delegates and active local longtime precinct delegates interested in attending the state convention. Delegates and alternates are usually selected based on availability, interest, and commitment in attending the state convention, active, contributing members of the Republican Party who have supported the party year in and year out through their volunteer efforts and financial contributions. In the end, everyone who said they were interested in attending the state convention were slotted either as a delegate or an alternate, so all will have a chance to participate. Last August, in an effort to welcome many newly elected precinct delegates who were interested in going to the state convention, several longtime experienced precinct delegates expressed their willingness to be listed as low alternates to give the new delegates an opportunity to attend and to participate in their first state convention. And one delegate, Rod Cloa, went so far as to request to remove his name completely in order to open up the slot for a new delegate. So for this convention, we made a diligent effort to nominate people who did not get an opportunity to vote last time to go as voting delegates this time. And likewise, those who voted as delegates or high alternates last time, we proposed go as alternates this time. We do have 2 remaining alternate openings with a request from one non-precinct delegate to fill one of those slots, Janae Velasquez. If precinct delegates in attendance are not interested in filling those open positions, we recommend that Janae fill one of the remaining open slots. Following the receipt of this report by the District 8 caucus, the floor will be opened for nominations for any precinct delegates who want to be added to the list, followed by non-precinct delegates. The following people are nominated for 19 of the 19 delegate positions, listed alphabetically and by numerical position. So it starts with Bernita Bonadies in numerical position number 1, Matthew Buchek, number 2, Melissa Buchek, number 3, Brenda Cesaretti, number 4, Luke Durheim, number 5, Kim Holzhauer, number 6, Rod Cloa, number 7, Kathy Lycum, number 8, Kathy Lunsford, number 9, Ashton Maloney, number 10, Jackie Medema, number 11, John Mullet, number 12, Fred Query, number 13, Jennifer Sanchez, number 14, Bridget Silva, number 15, Joe Silva, number 16, Dennis Starner, number 17, Chris Velasquez, number 18, and Holly Wetzel as number 19. The following people are nominated for 17 of the 19 alternate positions. In numerical position number 1, you have Laura Dawson, then Bill Demina is number 2, Laura Norcutt, number 3, Barbara Bass, number 4, Diane Bristol, number 5, Luke Malice, number 6, Bob Dvorak, number 7, Valerie Dvorak, number 8, Tom O'Brien, number 9, Marla Kuhn, number 10, Cynthia Lemon, number 11, Rebecca Robertson, number 12, Stephanie Gamola, number 13, John Blackson, 14, Marsha Blackson, 15, Aaron Majorana, 16, Jennifer Majorana, 17, and then 18 and 19 remain open. Madam Chairman, I move that this report be received.
Okay, thank you very much, Ashton. We have a nominating committee report. I want to thank the nominating committee because the job can be difficult, but I think you've done a very thoughtful and thorough review, and you've considered all the people who contacted expressing interest in serving at the convention. And the good news is we have a good number of enthusiastic Republicans who are interested in attending the convention. We also have a very welcoming nature in our local party because of the willingness for so many to step aside in the last time and let some new people experience going to a state convention. Fortunately, this time, everyone who's interested in attending the state convention will get an opportunity to go. So with that, I ask if there are any nominations from the floor. Specifically, are there any precinct delegates in attendance who plan to attend the state convention and want to be added to the slate?
Any questions?
Rebecca had her hand up first.
Rosemary Roberts.
Rosemary, sorry.
Position number 18.
Okay. Rosemary, you're asking to be added as an alternate to fill one of the open slots, okay? And then I have a question from Tom.
Yeah, so as an alternate, last time, I was an alternate last time, and I know there were many alternates that were not elevated from their vacancies
Right.
on the floor. So I'm wondering if this convention, if you're gonna elevate people when there become vacancies, so people can move down to the floor.
I am subject to what we were told by state party. I was following what was told by state party at that time. That process, I hope, doesn't apply this time. We've given them enough feedback between you and me and others that that wasn't a great process. It was the first time they did it. I think they thought that it was gonna help them manage better, and it ended up becoming a trust issue for a lot of people. So hopefully that won't be the case. That's why I always ask our delegates, as soon as you know your plans change, let me know, because then I can call the next alternate and tell them to pack their bags and, be ready for the vote. So that is out of my control, but hopefully, Tom, it will go the way that it used to go, where, as soon as you know, there's a process to let them.
Okay, but the second point is, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm subject to state parties.
You can remove, my plans have changed, you can remove me from an alternate list, please.
Okay. So that creates an opening. So that was Rosemary Robertson? Okay. Roberts, sorry about that. Tom O'Brien asked to be removed, number 9. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Yes, Loretta.
If no other delegates are nominated for alternates, can we nominate a Partisan Republican as an alternate?
Yes, but that will be next on in my script. I'm first making sure that we've exhausted all the interest level by precinct delegates, because we do have one person, Janae Velasquez, is a very great example of that. And then if there's someone else here tonight, we can also.
I understand the delegates have votes.
Yes. So right now I'm asking if any delegates are interested in attending and want to either fill an open slot or run against somebody who's already been slotted.
Point of information.
Yes, Marcia.
Could you, I'm sorry, it's gonna take a moment and people can probably
Microphone?
give the information. But, what precincts do the voting delegates and maybe the first 7 of the alternates represent?
Which precincts do the 19 voting delegates represent, and
You have you might wanna look them up on the list in front of you. Everyone's telling me that it's provided.
okay, can I have, before we have to vote on this slate, may I have time to check that over, please?
You can have a minute, Marcia. And while she's checking that, does anyone else have an interest, any precinct delegates interested in attending state convention? Okay, so now, are there any non-precinct delegates here or people who would like to be nominated to go to state convention? Chris?
I'd like to nominate Harrison Duncan. Dundon, excuse me. I'm horrible at saying it.
I think I'm acknowledging, Rod, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate
Yeah.
for a position
Yes.
I would like to nominate Janae Velasquez to either position 9 or position 19, whichever one's open.
Yeah, I think to be consistent, we move everybody up one notch. So Marla becomes 9, Cynthia becomes 10, Rebecca
11
is 11.
John 13, Marcia 14, Aaron 15, Jennifer 16, and then we have Rosemary, Harrison, and Janae. Do we have a particular order on that? Or we get in that order? Those are the 3, right? I mean, 3 slots.
So Rosemary Roberts is which number?
Right now, I have it as Rosemary would become 17, Harrison would become 18, Janae 19.
Okay. Okay, any other nominations, or does anyone want to move that we close the nominations? Okay, so I'm gonna ask Ashton to just confirm the final list. Can everyone read the list? And then she can just add the amended names, the change?
So the delegates list remains the same. The alternates list was amended to include Rosemary Roberts, number 17, Harrison Gundon, number 18, and Janae Velasquez, number 19.
Okay.
Oh, and Tom O'Brien took himself off, to note that. He was number.
Second.
Okay, so all in favor of the amended nominations report, please raise your red card. $79 yes, and 4 no? Oh, no? Any no votes? Okay, so the nominating report is approved. Thank you very much. I appreciate the hard work of the committee and the diligence that you did put that together with. Is Congressional District 2 back in the room? Luke, are you checking on them? Thank you. It's surprising that we finished before them. Who is going from Congressional District 2. It is Carter Houtman, Jeanette Snyder, Steve Snyder as delegates, and alternates Jeremy Whitmore, Jim Levere, and Susan Levere. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so now we're all back together, and it's time on the agenda for announcements. Remarks by elected officials. First, I'm going to make some announcements. First, the convention details for our state convention. If you got elected tonight as a delegate or an alternate, you already have it electronically, but I'll send it again through an email. There's a delegate packet. I have a hard copy for everyone already, so you don't have to print it yourself. I have those right here. Please come up and take a packet before you leave tonight. It's got the layout of the convention center, where our meeting rooms will be. In a couple of days, you'll get emails from me between now and the February 17th date, just checking in with you, reminding you what you need to bring. You do need your photo ID, and they're serious about it there. So the date of the convention, February 17th, Friday night, and 18th, Lansing Center. Registration Friday starts at 5. Saturday, it starts at 7 a.m., the registration. The convention will be called to order at 9 a.m. A lot of you are used to 10 a.m. It's going to start early. They've asked me to let you know because there are 24 candidates running for various offices, that it will be a long day of voting and possibly a few runoffs. So the assumption is we will be there most of the day, and that could be like till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I don't hope, it could go longer, I don't know. If you're on the report to go to Lansing, please pick this up before you leave tonight. Make sure that I have whatever contact information that you want me to have, because when I send in, I'll be sending in our delegate list with all your contact information that's on file with the clerk that we already have. I'll be using what is already there. So if you need to change that, if you want to use a different email, whatever, please let me know before I do that. And I ask you to keep in touch with me while we're there that weekend, text message or not. To Tom's point, that way I know if somebody had a change of plans. Life happens, it's okay if you have to go home or you have a family situation or you need to plan a different weekend. It's okay, that's why we have all the alternates. But just all I'm asking is let me know early enough so I can let your fellow delegates and alternates know. So that is the logistics that I wanted to share with you. Yeah, you got an email from me yesterday. The $50 charge that state party or state committee voted on is detailed in the packet. It's also available electronically on the website link that I sent to you. So that is also something to make sure that you're aware of. And that's why I wanted to send that out in advance, so that sometimes that can change somebody's decision whether they want to go or not. I do have a link that State Party sent to me today to share with you, and they prefer that you pay that fee online, and there is an option to write a check, but there are some very specific instructions around that, so please, I'll put that in my next email once I get our list all sent up. At this point, I think our state rep is probably still in Lansing. However, his staff person, Bill Azelton, wanted to give you a quick update on Bill G. Schuette's behalf. So Bill, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and we can wrap it up after that.
Thank you guys. Bill Azelton, some of you may recognize me. I've been on the campaign trail here in Midland County before. Proud to be here and proud to work for your state representative, Bill G. Schuette, who is working very hard for us down in Lansing. He wanted to be here tonight, he could not be because the Democrats were pulling some tricks, trying to rush through a supplemental spending bill, spending over $1 billion of your money, and not even letting the Republicans and the public at large know what was in it. So, Representative Bill G. Schuette wishes he could be here this evening, and that was his plan. Unfortunately, the dysfunctional Democrats in Lansing have yet to figure out how to move through session in an orderly and timely manner. Bill is still in session, actually he just adjourned, holding Democrats responsible for their secretive $1.1 billion plus taxpayer spending spree. On a more positive note, the House passed today a key piece of legislation that Bill worked diligently on to provide tax relief for Michiganders, more than quadrupling the earned income tax credit. Democrat proposals would have delayed that tax relief for working families until next year. But after strong advocacy and pushing from Bill and the Republican team, they changed their legislation to match Bill's proposal, one of the first bills introduced in the House, giving working families an average extra $500 back in their wallets this year. So when you file, thank you. So that means you'll file that, you'll see that when you file your taxes this spring for last year. Bill will continue to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire and fight their radical agenda to repeal right to work, reinstate prevailing wage, and expand government control. And as a newly named member of the Appropriations Committee, Bill will work to be a careful steward of your taxpayer dollars and continue to look for ways to put more of your money back in your wallet. Feel free to call our office. Our phone number you can find online, also our email address. We have the official State Representative Bill G. Schuette Facebook page up and running. So follow that for updates and call or email our office at any time with concerns. You'll likely either talk to myself or Luke. We're happy to listen to any concerns you guys have about state issues, or if you have, you need any assistance with any state government agency or department, don't hesitate to reach out and we'll do all we can to help you. So thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. I want to ask all of our elected officials to please stand up and be recognized so we can thank you for your service to our county. So we have commissioners here, we have our county clerk, treasurer. Thank you all very much. Thanks for willingness to put it out there and be the face of the party. I want to say the Midland County GOP is working on our meeting and event schedule for the year. We will be communicating that. I ask for some grace and patience from you as several people were plagued with sickness at the start of the year, and evidently it continues tonight because several of our delegates contacted me and told me why they couldn't be here tonight. But let's show a united front for our party and to our community. I'll have more to say about that another time, but let's end our convention on a good note, and I want to wish everyone safe travels home this evening. I want to thank you for your service to the party. With that, is there any further business before this convention?
Madam Chairman, thank you.
Wait, somebody's standing up. You're welcome, Todd. Thank you. Thanks, Todd. Marcia?
I just want to make a couple comments. One is you've heard the passion tonight, and we're all wanting to move our Republican platform forward. So I'm hoping that the executive committee has, met some of us, know who we are, and know that we want to help. So hopefully they will call us in whatever way they need help and let us know.
I'll just add that you've been one of our top-notch best volunteers for, I've known you for at least a decade, so thank you for your service, Marcia.
Also, Kathy, that we've got at least 62 new precinct delegates this year, and we have a year. Are there going to be any training for them to get acquainted with each other and also learn
what options they have as a precinct delegate to move a stronger Republican vote in the county?
We're working on what kind of gatherings and what kind of meeting forums it makes sense for all of us to come together, what kind of topics. And we're gonna want some of your input on that as well, Marcia. So I just need, we need a little time to get out of the gate here this month. So thank you. Is there any other business before this convention?
Motion to adjourn. Order.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you all very much.